Hey folks, Rich here at RCINFORMER. Today I have another center burner installation for the 90mm Freewing F-18. This one, again, is coming from Ray over at Gooniacs or Gooniacs RCEDF Creations. And that is on Facebook, or Gooniac33 on YouTube, if I can get this thing out of the bag here. This is how it comes. You got everything all wired, ready to go. You got a couple tie wraps in here to tie wrap all your wires together. And this is one of the newer 90mm that he makes. This is more like almost like a fiberglass or something. I don't know what that's made out of, some resin. And everything's wired, ready to go. Your 2 set screws, and we have this new glass housing. It seems like it's glass anyway. Overall, your LEDs that are super bright. You can see it's all wired and ready to go. Ray has this set up so there's 3 ways you can power this thing. You can set it up the standard way that, you know, your 6-cell battery, which I have one right there. The power source plugs into here. And you're only tapping, you can see from the 2 pins, you're only tapping off of 12 volts because this is a 12-volt system. Or you can take that off and plug this in, just replace it with this section, and all this is it's the same thing. This plugs into the balance port for the power of your 6S pack, but it uses all 6 cells, but it takes this, this UBEC and bumps it down to 12 volts. That way you're not running into any balance issues or anything with your battery, or you can pull all these things off anyway and just put a separate small 3-cell battery to power your afterburner if you want to have a separate battery. So comes wired just like this, folks, and if you guys get a chance, I did do this install too on my Freewing F-14 Tomcat. Same thing, just smaller fans. This is a little easier to wire up because you only got one to wire up, and you can see how this thing all looks when it all comes out of here. This is going to bolt onto the back of the fan, and we'll talk about that. I already took the cone off, but we'll discuss all that. And then your wire runs long enough so it can go all the way to the front, to the cockpit area. And then you have a switch, which I never use. That just usually just stays on. And then you have really just 2 connections to make. You have this one that goes into your throttle channel via Y harness or something like that. And then this goes into your battery. And again, you can choose to change that. So you can pop this out. You can go with just a 3-cell battery for a power source and just leave the main airplane battery alone, or you can unplug it and plug this baby again right in, and you can tap off your 6 cells, but only use, again, right here 12 volts of it. So Ray's got it set up for 3 power systems, so it's kind of nice. You can do whatever you want with it. So we're going to go ahead and install this in the Hornet, so here we go. Prior to installation, you do want to test this thing out, make sure it's working, just in case you know, it's not working, and you plug it in and find out it's not working, then you got to take the whole darn thing out again. So anyway, what you need for that is a servo tester. I have that hooked up just to a simple nickel metal hydride pack, and then we're going to plug in the throttle channel into this thing as if it was the throttle. We'll put that all the way down at low. I'll make sure we're in manual there. I will plug this thing right into place. And then using a 6-cell battery, I just have a 6-cell 4000 up here at the top. It doesn't have to be fully charged or anything. You can just kind of plug it in as is. And I chose for this installation, I am going to go ahead and, at least I think for now anyway, I'm going to try the 12 or the 6-cell version that bumps it down to 12-cell. So that way we're not causing any kind of balance issues or anything going on there with the you don't kind of run the risk of unbalancing your 6-cell pack, but I don't think that's really a problem anyway. So now it's all plugged in and ready to go. We should be able to just throttle this thing up, and when we hit about half throttle, it should begin to light. There we go. And then it gets brighter and brighter and brighter as it goes up. Not too much of a variation, but it does have a little bit of one, you can see right there. So now that we know it's working, it's time to start taking the plane apart and installing everything. The first step in the process is just removing the 4 screws for your fan hatch, and you may have to kind of pry up on this back part. And just once you can grab these plastic tabs, pull the whole thing up. And you can see right here you got your fan in place. You've got 3 screws on each side, so there's 6 screws to remove your fan. There's also down in the center here, which I'm going to quickly just remove the camera off the mount to show you. There is this crossbar right here, okay, that mounts way up there, and you can see in there, if I can get this thing to focus off of the fan, you can see down in there those 2 scroll holes, one right and one left. And I had to remove that, and the way I removed that was I just went through these louvers up here, if we can see those holes down in there somewhere. And anyway, you can put a screwdriver, and I'll back off here, you can put a screwdriver right through one of these louvers to get down and pull this thing out of here, and then you can just reach in and grab the screws. That's what's holding down the speed controller, so you can see as you pick up your fan and you pull this out, the speed controller, you can kind of move it out just a little bit, and then we'll reinstall all this stuff afterwards. So I'll go ahead and put the camera back on the mount. The next thing that you need to do is actually pretty darn simple. It's just taking the fan off. There's two self-tapping screws, or not two self-tapping, there's two set screws right here and right here, one on opposite sides. You loosen those with a 1.5 millimeter metric nut driver, and then this thing is off. Now sometimes you have 4 tabs here. Notice one is broken off. That probably is something that happened at the factory, but it's not really a big deal. Somebody probably over tightened the cone, putting the tail cone back on. But that's okay. You only really need 2 anyway. So you want to try to line up the wires as best they are, and then you're going to just reinstall this over, and then you're going to go ahead and tighten those screws, and then you're going to run your wires and reinstall everything. Once you have the LED housing attached, and I noticed that my 2 set screws that were in here weren't holding that well, so I ran like 2 layers here of 3M Blender, which is hinge tape around here, just to help keep that on. I think that's probably all you need, that plus the screws. Once that's in place and you're ready to go, you're ready to run your wires. So I just ran just this old flexible push rod through the cockpit, which is over this way. And then very carefully, you can visually see this, you're going to go ahead and pull all your wires just right on through till they go into the cockpit. Now that your wires are run all the way through, you have to secure everything in place. Notice I got the 6 fan screws back in place. I also got that board that you could see way up ahead there. That was really challenging to get in there. And you had to run a screwdriver. I had to run a screwdriver through these louvers to get down in there. And I actually used a little contact cement on the screw head to kind of attach it to the screw and kind of line it up and stuff. It's also a good time for all your wood threads. These threads, the 3 sets of threads, the wood mounting block for these 3 screws on both sides of the fan, and those 2 screws up there. While you have everything out, use a little bit of CA and soak those wood holes so the threads get a little tougher, because right now it's just bare wood. And then the last thing you got to do really for this whole thing is just put your fan hatch cover is going to go back on, and then that's pretty much it for the back section. Now, one thing I did do differently that I'm trying as an experiment is I ran some tape in there, and actually you can see all that chrome tape. The idea is I'm trying to kind of exaggerate or amplify the light in there, and all I used was this sticker sheet stuff you get at the hobby shop, and I ran it under the fan starting from this lip. I ran it just a little bit from here all the way back there, and you could see even on the inside of the fan cover, I ran it there, and you could see just overlap where this engine, the back half of the cowling is, so it'll sit on there and won't blow the tape off or blow the tape out of there. And all I did was run strips of this stuff, and I'll see if I can find here where I did this. I put strips of this stuff, long strips, and ran them back, and as we look through the back of this thing, you can kind of see how I ran this. That blue part, that's just a plastic piece, but you can see I ran the aluminum tape all around the edge. And again, it's not aluminum tape, it's just that, again, it's just that sticker stuff that you get, over at the hobby shop and stuff. And we'll see how that amplifies everything and see if that makes it really any brighter. It's real important down here when you get this in here. Make sure you don't have any wires or anything loose in there that could get sucked back into the fan, because obviously that would be kind of a bad thing. But that's pretty much for the rear installation. Next up, we will look at what it looks like at the front end of the cockpit. As we look at the front end of this thing, there's really not too much here to talk about, other than you've got your whole wiring harness that we just brought in from the back end, and you choose how to power it. Again, Ray's set this up so there's 3 power options. I've decided that I'm going to go ahead and use the one that you can see right here that is going to use all 6 cells, okay, and it's going to use all 22 volts, but it's going to step it down here to the 12 volts. So, and if you want, you can use a separate just 3-cell pack in here to power your afterburner with the switch, or you can use the other adapter that just uses 3 of the 6 cell, and that's it. So the only connections you have up here really is this connection that goes into your throttle channel, or goes into your throttle channel via a Y harness, and then your power, and you just you know, tuck away your wires or get them set up where you want them, and that's really it on the front end. Okay folks, it's time for the moment of truth. I got everything all wired up, ready to kind of test these things out. One more thing that I did do here is I painted one side white. It gave me an opportunity here with 2 engine nacelles and 1 light to kind of see, well, what's the difference if we paint this thing white? White seems to be the best color to diffuse the light and spread it around and amplify it a bit. And I used this baby right here. This is just a cup I glued onto some cardboard here. This one in particular has a lip to it. So when I put that thing right up on this engine cone, it actually kind of locks right in there when I stick it in there in the right place. And then you can just spray down there without spraying your whole model, except for that little bit that I missed there, but I'll get that off of there. So anyway, let's fire this up and we'll see how this thing lights up here. We'll go ahead and grab our control box here, servo tester, and we'll light them up. That's at minimum. And then we'll just go to kind of max and max them out. It's about max there, and you can see how bright that is down in there. And then when you look at your engine, you can see, look at the difference in that. When you spray just a little bit of white paint, look at the difference there. I mean, look at what how much brighter it seems to get, or much more, kind of more of a yellow than a darker color. But I think that's really makes a difference, just painting some white in there, and you can see how that thing is all lit up in there. So anyway, that's it, guys. Gooniacs afterburners. Stay tuned for a video I'm putting out shortly. Upgrades here for your tail section. I sent these off to the factory some time ago and over to James at Motion RC, and I'll have a video on how to some of the upgrades for the F-18 horse, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, folks, Gooniacs afterburner, really nice. Gooniac 33 on YouTube, and Gooniacs RCEDF Creations on Facebook, and Ray has really nice, all different sizes of these things to set up for your EDF jet. So anyway, guys, like and subscribe, please, as always. I appreciate it. I'll put a link at the bottom for Ray's page and stuff. I appreciate you guys watching RC Informer, and as always, we will see you next time.